Hey guys, I wanted to do this really quick video for those of you that are going to be on the Vision team. So I'm going to leave the video available for anyone who wants to watch it, but I want to really give you some really just some beginning instructions to help us begin thinking before we get to our first meeting in just a little over a week. And the first thing I want to do is I want to clarify the difference between a mission and a vision. So the church already has a mission. We don't have to invent it. We don't have to discover it. It's already been given to us. Matthew 28, verses 19 and 20, Jesus says to his disciples, "Go into all the world, make disciples of all the nations, baptizing them in the name of the Father and of the Son and of the Holy Spirit, and teaching them to obey all that I've commanded you." So that's our mission. We don't have to guess. We don't have to reinvent it. We don't have to rethink it. We have been given the same mission as every other church in the world. Now, the vision is different. Vision is about strategy and tactics. Strategy. We are not going to reach the same people that other churches are going to be able to reach. The Baptists down the road are going to be able to reach a different group of people than we're capable of reaching because they've been gifted differently. They've been placed with a different, with different skill sets and different personalities and different spiritual gifts. The same is true of Harvest Church and any other church you can think of. Our strategy is going to be different because God has given us a different skill set. He's given us different people. He's given us different resources to use. And we can't reach the whole world. That's why God has lots of different churches. We are called to reach one corner of the world and one specific part of that corner. And so we've got to have a good strategy. Our resources, our people, our talents are not unlimited. And so we have to use all of those in a very strategic way. Along with strategy comes tactics, and these are maybe smaller increments. These are smaller tasks within our strategy, and those are what we're going to be wrestling with as a vision team. We're going to be trying to think through what is our strategy and what are our tactics for reaching the people God has equipped and called us to reach. Now, Jeannie Jones came up with an acronym, and I really like it, and it's SHIMMER. SHIMMER, and it's SCMR, SHIMMER. When we're done with our work at the end of 6 months, we need a vision that is simple, and simple meaning anyone in our church can easily understand what it is that we're being tasked to do. Simple, clear. Again, we're not going to try to write a 10-page paper, a 5-page paper. We're going to limit our work to a page or a page and a half. It should be clear enough that it should be easy to explain to anyone in our church and they should be able to understand it. It's going to be manageable. We're going to set one priority and we're going to identify 5 tactics or 5 smaller steps to reach our one priority. We're not going to take on the whole world. We're not going to try to do everything possible. We're going to try to do everything that we can manage within a 5 to 7 year time period. And then it has to be reachable. And reachable is not only what we're capable of doing, but we're actually able to measure whether or not we did it. So we're not going to talk about vague things like we're going to be a more spiritual church, because at the end of 5 or 7 years, how do we really actually measure that? How do we answer in a yes or no way whether or not we accomplished it? Reachable is something that can be measured. Want to give you 2 other things. So we're going to read 2 books and we're going to watch 2 videos. So one video is actually both videos are by Paul Borden, and I've already made one video available to you. Before you come to the first meeting, you should watch the video that I've made available by Paul Borden, because he's going to lay out for us really the overall task. And you should begin reading Will Mancini's book, God Dreams. Now, here's the thing about reading that book. If you can't get it all read before the first meeting, then I want you to watch the 3 videos in which I summarize the 12 templates that we're taking from that book. So we are not doing a book study. I do not intend or want you to try to memorize or master all the material in God Dreams. We are really focusing on the 12 templates at the end of the book. And Will Mancini invites us to take two of those templates, the two that we think most aligned with what we are as a church or what we're trying to become as a church, and use those as the means by which we start developing and describing our own vision. So if you can't read the entire book before the first meeting, watch the 3 videos in which I describe the 12 templates, because that is going to be the filter through which we do everything else that we're doing. So watch the Paul Borden video, watch the 3 small videos that I've made. If you're able, then of course we want you to read all of Will Mancini's book. But if you can't do that, then watch the 3 videos and then try to get caught up with the book later. In the second half of our vision process, we're going to visit a second video by Paul Borden that gets very specific about writing a vision statement and trying to do that with clarity and simplicity. We're then going to be reading a second book called Hybrid Church by James Emery White. And let me tell you why I chose the book Hybrid Church. So James Emery White wrote one of the first books on Generation Z. And what he points out both in that book and in Hybrid Church is that while most of us use the internet every day, Generation Z is the first generation to spend their entire life at least partially immersed in the internet. They've never known a time before the internet. And what that means is if we don't understand that, and if we don't understand how important it is to have a digital presence, a virtual presence on the internet, we're not going to be able to effectively engage and reach Generation Z and all the generations that are coming after them. Their world is very different than the world we grew up in, and we have to make sure that we can communicate the gospel to a generation that has lived their entire life on the internet. That means we're going to have to be very careful to think about it, not only how we communicate internally, but how we communicate externally, and not only about what we do in our real presence as we're physically gathered, but the way we present ourselves on the internet and the web, because it is going to be a crucial part to communicating the gospel effectively to Generation Z and all the generations that are going to come after Generation Z. So that's going to be the overview of what we do, and we're going to work very hard to try to make sure that everyone around the table gets a chance to give input, shape this vision together. It's not something that we want any one person at the table to dominate. We want every person to have input and say as we craft this vision. But it's also why at the end of every meeting, we're going to summarize on video what we've done, so that we can keep our congregation informed, and so that they can track with us, so that they can ask questions, so they themselves can have input, and so that at the end of 6 months, we're not like Moses coming down from Mount Sinai and going, here's what we have for you. They will already be able to anticipate what we are going to present for them, because they'll be tracking the whole time with us. And that's why, by the way, this video is also going to be made available to the whole congregation, because we don't want to do our work in isolation. We want our congregation to have full access to and transparency about the work that we're doing. That's why we also invite them to do the reading with us if they want to, and to watch the videos that we're watching. We want them to be involved and informed as we craft this vision for ourselves.